Hello, today I'm going to take you through a song with some easy chord transitions. So this is going to be just a very basic version of Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynyrd. This one's originally recorded in half step down, which means they tune their strings to E flat, A flat, D flat, so on and so forth, so that when you're playing these chords, they're not actually going to sound that great with the recording. But nevertheless, it's a good practice in transitioning between some very basic chords. So this one's going to start on a C, then it's going to go to a G, and then it's going to land on an A minor. And it plays the A minor for twice as long as the C or the G. So all together we get Alright, so let's go through these transitions. I'm going to show you two ways to go from the C to the G. One is probably one that we've discussed, and then the other one you may not have seen before. But, alright, so C, right? Making sure that all of those strings sound are open strings. G and E are sounding nicely, and that low E is muted. If you can see, I've got my third finger there pressed up against my E string to mute it. And then, so I usually think of leading this, my first and second finger are already kind of in position in the C, because they're a fret away from each other, being on the first and second. And then for the G, my first finger needs to go to the second fret, and my second finger needs to go to the third. So I think of this kind of shape leading my G, right? They were down here, and they had a string between them before. Now we're just going to E and A, so there's no string between them. So the distance up and down between the fingers can decrease a little bit, but they can stay in the same kind of horizontal distance because it's just a fret apart. So they kind of lead the charge here, and then my third and fourth finger just squeeze in on the bottom there. So we have C, first and second finger lead, and then third and fourth go down to the bottom. And if you notice, you can kind of disguise your chord transition if you let that open G ring, because the G is ringing in both chords. Right? So if you can find a way to make that transition without bumping the G and letting it ring, that way you don't get kind of a gap between your sound. You have a string ringing over the transition. The second way that the way I usually play this song is I play it with this G. So if you want kind of a close-up look at that, my first finger is not involved at all. I'm playing E3 with my third finger, A2 with my second finger, and my fourth finger plays high E3, and I let the B string be open rather than because it really doesn't matter in that chord. But I think that's a little bit of an easier transition if you can get your fourth finger working. Right? My hand doesn't have to do so many acrobatics to go from. Right? So whatever way you find to do that, that one's even easier because your third and your second finger are just literally have to go up a string. Right? The third finger was on A, and the second finger was on D. And then when they go up a string, third finger's on low E, and second finger's on A. And then the pinky just goes where it would normally go. So if you can manage that one, I think it's easier for this song. And then if you use that one, your first finger's right in position for that A minor. But let's start just assuming you did the full big G here. So let's think about this. For our A minor, our fingers are already slightly in the right horizontal positioning, horizontal, because my first finger needs to be on the first fret of B, and my second and third finger need to be on the second fret of D and G. So if I'm here in this big G shape, my first finger is on the second fret of A, and my second and third fingers are on the third fret. So they're already in the right horizontal positioning. I just have to move it back a fret, and then everybody kind of shuffles strings. And again, I think it's really easy to let the first and second finger lead the charge, because then if they're in the right spots, all the third finger has to do is just set down. Because he should be kind of joined at the hip with the second finger in this position anyways. So if you're here, they just kind of go together, and then think about your first and second finger, where they go. And the third finger should kind of fall right into place. I like to hook my thumb to mute that E string. If you can't manage that, just really try to not whack it. Doesn't sound horrible in the chord, but really we want to hear that A string ringing out as the lowest note. Cool. So let's say you were doing the kind of alternate G pattern. You were at C, right? The first finger is in the same place for C and A minor, B1. So I just let my first finger hover over B1, and then all I have to worry about is putting it down, and then, like I said, second and third, they get joined at the hip, and the second finger just goes for D2, and we get that A minor chord. Okay, and then, so when we're turning it around, we're going back to the first chord. The only movement you have to do is pick up your third finger, extend it, and go to the third fret of A. Because that's the only difference between A minor and C. It's just the position of the third finger. Right? So that's the easiest one yet. Okay, so let's just try these really slow. Get our metronome out here. That's probably about a good tempo to start with. We're going to try to just do 4 beats on C, 4 on G, and 8 on A minor, because we have double the time on A minor. So as soon as you hit these chords, at this point you probably want to start moving your fingers, so we can land on the next downbeat of 1 on the next chord. That's what's important here. You can make the movement more efficient once you get that. All right, let's give this a try. So C to G to A minor, back to C. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. C, 2, now to G. G, now A minor. And we hold this one. Now we go to C. C, G, A minor. One more time. Ready, and C, G, A minor. Nice. And if you want to add a simple strumming pattern to this one, I'm just doing a down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, And then if you want to add a little bit of ornamentation to this one, what I like to do on that A minor chord is pick up my first finger, strike all the strings, and then set the first finger down on B1. And then for a little extra flair, I like to put my pinky down on E3. And then pick it back up. So I get... So if you can manage that, that's a little bit more advanced. I would stick to just... Right? Pretty simple stuff there. Just make sure that you're not buzzing out on any of your frets and you're not having any open strings ringing that shouldn't, and all your open strings that should be ringing are ringing. And that's pretty much the whole song. It's a fun one to sing along to, and if you really want to play it with the track, just go to your tuner and detune your strings by 1/2 step. So like I said, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, and E flat. So yeah, have fun with this one. It's a really easy song, fun one to play along to. It has a nice groove too, and a nice, I guess a nice chord pattern. You can get the pinky in there to play that low G too. That's fun too. So yeah, play with this one, have fun with it. Don't stress too much. Just really worry about getting those fingers to the right place on time like we did with the metronome. All right.